In 1983, a small Ohio town believed it had finally caught the person who had been terrorizing them for 7 straight years. He was arrested, tried, convicted, sent to prison. And the letters kept coming anyway for 10 more years from a man who, behind bars, wasn't even allowed to hold a pen. To this day, no one has ever been formally convicted of writing a single one of them. This is the story of the Circleville Letters. Circleville, Ohio, sits in Pickaway County, a quiet farming community south of Columbus. The kind of small town where a school bus driver and a school superintendent are the sort of people everybody would recognize on sight. In the spring of 1977, Gordon Massey, the superintendent of Westfall Schools, received an anonymous letter, typed in bold block lettering, accusing him of having affairs with several of the district's female bus drivers. More letters followed, sent not just to Massey, but to the school board, pushing them to investigate. Then the letters found their real target, Mary Gillespie, one of the district's bus drivers. The writer accused her of having an affair with Massey, claimed to be watching her house, and appeared to know detailed personal information about her family. Mary and her husband Ron were stunned and quietly terrified. They only told 3 people about what was happening: Ron's sister, her husband Paul Freshour, and Paul's sister. It would not stay quiet for long. The letters escalated. One sent to Ron Gillespie warned that if he didn't put a stop to his wife's supposed affair, the writer would broadcast the accusations across the entire town, on billboards, over CB radio, anywhere people would see it. Then, on an August evening in 1977, the phone rang at the Gillespie house. Ron answered. Moments later, according to his daughter, he grabbed a revolver and told her he was going to confront the letter writer directly. He never made it. His truck went off the road and struck a tree. He was killed instantly. The local coroner ruled it an accident. Paul Freshour, Ron's brother-in-law, never accepted that ruling. He believed for the rest of his life that Ron had been murdered, and he spent years pushing the Pickaway County Sheriff's Office to take a second look. The letters didn't stop with Ron's death. Over the next several years, they spread, no longer just targeting the Gillespies and Massey, but reaching hundreds of Circleville residents, each one seemingly aware of some private detail of the recipient's life. The town became consumed with a single, unanswerable question. Who could possibly know this much about everyone? Then, in 1983, the letters turned violent. While driving her usual bus route, Mary Gillespie spotted a sign nailed near the road, accusing her teenage daughter of being involved in a scandal. When she stopped to tear it down, she noticed the sign was tied by a string to a small box sitting just off the road. Inside was a loaded .25 caliber pistol, rigged to fire the moment the sign was pulled. The trap malfunctioned. Mary was unharmed. But this was no longer a campaign of gossip and threats. It was attempted murder. Investigators with Ohio's Bureau of Criminal Investigation recovered a serial number from the gun and traced it back through a chain of ownership. It led them to a name that shocked the entire Gillespie family: Paul Freshour, Mary's own brother-in-law, the same man who had spent years insisting Ron's death was murder, not an accident. Freshour had no criminal record. He worked as a manager at a local Anheuser-Busch facility and lived outside town. He denied any involvement, telling investigators the gun had been stolen from his garage weeks earlier. He also had an alibi covering most of the afternoon the trap was believed to have been set. But two pieces of evidence turned the investigation against him. First, his estranged wife, Karen Sue, the couple was in the middle of a contentious divorce, told police she believed Paul was the letter writer and said she'd found letters hidden throughout their home. Second, Freshour failed a polygraph test. At trial in October 1983, prosecutors had no physical evidence directly tying Freshour to the gun or the device itself. What they did have was handwriting analysis, though the method used has since drawn serious criticism. Rather than collecting independent writing samples, investigators had Freshour copy one of the actual Circleville letters by hand, then compared that copied sample to the original. Two document examiners testified the handwriting could be his. It was enough. Freshour was convicted of attempted murder, notably not of writing the letters themselves, since he was never formally charged with that, and sentenced to 7 to 25 years in prison. He would ultimately serve 10. For a town that had lived under this shadow for 7 years, it felt like the case was finally closed.
It wasn't closed, not even close. While Freshour was in prison, without access to pens or paper by policy, the letters continued. Signs appeared around Circleville. Residents kept receiving mail. Freshour himself received one of the threatening letters while behind bars, taunting him for believing he'd ever get out.
In 1994, the case caught the attention of the TV series Unsolved Mysteries. While the crew was filming a segment on the letters, they received their own postcard, postmarked like the others, warning them to stay away from Circleville and not to interfere. That same year, 1994, Paul Freshour was released from prison on parole. The letters stopped. That timing is by far the strongest circumstantial argument that Freshour really was behind at least some of the letters. But it's also the detail that the case's stranger evidence complicates. Former FBI profiler Mary Ellen O'Toole later reviewed the letters and concluded that the writer's apparent psychology didn't line up cleanly with Freshour's documented character. And logically, if letters were still arriving while he sat in a cell with no writing materials, someone else had to have been writing at least some of them. Whether a copycat riding the town's paranoia or the original writer all along. The suspect list, even at the time, was never limited to Freshour alone. Investigators also looked at his estranged wife, Karen Sue, who some believed may have had her own reasons to implicate him during a bitter divorce, as well as the couple's son and Gordon Massey's son. None were ever charged. Decades later, in 2021, forensic document examiner Beverly East conducted an independent analysis of 49 of the letters for a CBS 48 Hours investigation. Based on a distinctive, recurring letter formation across the documents, she stated she was confident in identifying the writer, and her conclusion pointed to Freshour. Paul Freshour always denied it. He maintained his innocence of both the letters and the shooting until his death in 2012, never wavering, even after parole, even after the spotlight faded. Officially, the Circleville Letters case remains unsolved. Paul Freshour was convicted and imprisoned for the attempted murder of Mary Gillespie, a conviction he never stopped fighting. But no one has ever been formally charged, tried, or convicted for writing the letters themselves. Not in 1976, and not in the 18 years that followed. What's left is a town that lived under the weight of an anonymous stranger's threats for nearly 2 decades. A man who died still insisting he was innocent, and a body of evidence that even modern forensic analysis can't fully agree on. The Circleville Letters ask a question a lot of small-town mysteries eventually run into. What happens when the person everyone agrees is guilty might not be the only one capable of the crime? If you had to bet, was Paul Freshour the Circleville writer? Someone else entirely? Or was it more than one person all along? Tell me your theory in the comments. I read every one of them. Next week, we're covering a case that shocked an entire city when the people convicted of a brutal crime turned out to be innocent. And the real answer was hiding in plain sight the whole time. Subscribe and step further into the archive.